All right. You ready to start this jam?
Oh, like peanut butter on jelly.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. Woo! Ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba. It's Neon Valley. Oh, I shouldn't curse that soon.
What? We just
Sorry.
can't. I can't. I absolutely can't.
Welcome back, everyone. It's the Neon Valley Podcast. It's been quite a while since our last episode, but we are here. We are straight. We are straight men. You know, I was going to say we're queer, but we're not. It's fine. We're a little weird, you know?
Well, I'm really.
I
Where did
experimented.
my mustache go? What?
Huh? No. What?
Mustache.
I must ask you a question. Is there any stick factor to that mustache, or is it just for show?
There is, but here's the thing, right?
Is it ripping out your real mustache?
Well, no. I figured like this is like an adhesive that's clearly over the sticky side. But when I peeled it, it actually just looked like the sticky. The tape is the sticky. So pulling off the tape, there's no sticky residue underneath for it to adhere to.
Interesting.
So I'm very confused if maybe I put something on this little parchment piece here. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
That sounds like a problem for a different time. Yeah, we don't have time to deal about that.
These are things that come with $12 Amazon purchase.
Exactly. But if you couldn't already tell, if you're watching the video version of this is the Halloween episode.
Woohoo! Spooky edition.
That's right. I realized last year we didn't have a Halloween episode.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Weirdly, you know why? Because we weirdly took a break around the same time. I don't know how we did that. It must just be like a cyclical thing where this is where we feel the need to take a break for ourselves.
You know, sometimes Freddie Mercury takes a dip in the Gatorade. These things happen.
Mama! And speaking of Halloween, we are going to be making a Halloween candy tier list episode. That'll be on our YouTube, Neon Valley on YouTube. Make sure to go check that out. But today,
it's a pretty cool place.
It is pretty cool. It's fun time. It's a little quiet right now, but that's more of like, it's like when you walk into a club that you know is cool, but there's just like quiet murmurs. There's no one really talking much. And it's like, oh man, like we're just here to listen to the music and like vibe, you know?
Coolest club you've ever been to.
Dude, look at me.
I am the club.
I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese. I don't even think I can name like a real club No, that's Encore. Sure.
I was gonna say, I feel like
I've been to Encore, but that might be like the Encore Beach Club. That might be the only. Genuinely, because I've never gone with you guys to like Dre's or like whatever the fuck. Like I don't know. I don't have any club experiences. I have like some bar experiences. I have a lot of bar experiences.
Some.
I have a lot, but yeah, no, I'm not a club. I was never a club guy. What about you? What's the what were you gonna say? What's your brag? Because you brought this up for a reason. What's the coolest club you've been in?
No, I just thought it was a good transition for you.
Go ahead, fucking say it then. What's your badass, awesome, exclusive, quiet club with the password purple alligator? Huh? Yeah, I followed you that night. Go ahead, tell them.
So you have been to the club? No.
Yeah, I did. But I went under the name Gaspacho.
Okay. I've been to a few clubs in Vegas. There's one club I went to in New York. The entire story of how we got there. So we land in New York. There's a group behind us that hears us talking that we're from Los Angeles. They take our numbers, exchange numbers. Wow. They were nice women. You can't just say that about people.
Oh,
Tyler.
I'm sorry. Bitches.
We end up going to meet them a few different times at a few different places because they had just VIP at a lot of places, probably because they were a group of girls. And for New Year's Eve night, there was one club that was pretty popular. I guess a few celebrities had gone there. I can't remember which ones, though.
Carrot Top.
But it ended up shutting down like a year or two after we were there.
Because of Carrot Top.
We gave this group that we never met all of our money, like all the cash that we had for the trip, which was like a couple $100 each. Because they're like,
wait, did they have a gun with like handkerchiefs on? Like, why did you just give them your money? What do you mean you gave them all of your money?
What they had told us was they were going to get us in onto their VIP table, bottle service, the works. This was New Year's Eve night.
Okay.
In New York City, mind you. It is like 10:45 and the girls have not shown up to the club. And we're standing outside waiting. We're actually in a grocery store across the street from the club. And all of us are getting kind of paranoid. Just gave a lot of money away to strangers that we just met a couple days ago. We met them at a couple bars, but we didn't give them any money. Like, they were paying for everything. Okay. And so
they built some kind of repertoire with you. It wasn't just like they showed up and asked for money. There was some kind of...
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it was the same group that we had met from the airport. And then it's like 11:15 and we're like, yo, it's like about to be midnight. Like, what the hell's going on? And then finally at like 11, maybe 20ish, they show up. We get in line. So I'm like, okay, so this is all happening. Now, one person in our group, we're not going to say who. One person in our group may or may not have had a fake ID. The only person in the group that had a fake ID in New York for a very high-end club where they were scanning IDs.
Choice idea.
And right before that person's ID got scanned, one of the girls from the group decided to go off on the security guard. I don't remember what she was mad about, but we all were like, you're going to get us thrown like out of the club.
It is never a good idea to go off on any security. I understand security guards can be the biggest dicks in the world, but you just have to like head down, move along. You know, like it's never good.
Somehow the situation gets quelled, and then that person in question, they scan. It's good.
Let's go.
They all
it's
get
a
in.
Halloween miracle.
Now, let me tell you.
You guys are all dressed as Shrek, and I'm assuming this is a Halloween party. I know it's not, but I'm assuming it is. I'm in my head canon.
Take the story. It makes more sense. Yes. One person from the group peed in the mop bucket in a utility closet. I may or may not have fallen into a back wall, which had like a bunch of these like round discs. It was like an artistic kind of thing, and a couple may or may not have broken and fallen. And true to their word, we had a table and we had continuous bottles just coming. It was one of those nights, like looking back, it should not have happened. There are multiple occasions where we were very just ignorant. Yeah, we're just going to go with the flow.
Like if you had left 10 minutes earlier before the girls showed up, you would have left there thinking like, well, we got fucked over. That was a night.
Yep.
Like, what are you going to do?
And we were waiting for like over an hour. So it was plenty of time for us to be like, but for some reason, we're just like, well, no, they're definitely going to show up. So shout out to that group. Y'all are real ones. I know you're definitely big fans of the podcast, been following us for years. Starstruck when you met me. Didn't know about the podcast because that was a lot of years ago. But you knew somewhere inside. So that was my Halloween
story. Can you name drop the club at least? Because this is like, I feel like...
I want to say it was like the green room or something. I know for a fact the club closed. It was like the green room or something, exclusive. But like they had like pictures on the wall, like celebrities there. It was a really nice club. But God, I do not remember too much. We drank a whole lot that night.
Here. I don't think I would have had that amount of trust. Well, to give them the money.
I will never again.
No. Yeah. Well, you had fun, so at least it worked out. But yeah, to even give them the money up front, I think I would have been like, I'll meet you there. And then I'll give you the money. There would have been other standards involved, for sure. Do you have any crazy Halloween stories or anything like that?
Oh, I have a great Halloween story. So this is hilarious, too, because shout out to my cousin who just got married this past weekend. Miranda, I don't care.
Woo!
The internet, if they find you, fuck, whatever.
Congrats.
So This is a funny story because this is when we were living in Southern California. I was maybe 8, 7 years old at the oldest, probably even closer to potentially like, no, yeah, that's unreal. Sorry. So 7, 8 years old. She lived within walking distance of my parents' house. Like they were very close. So Miranda had come with us to do trick or treating. We're going house to house. And all of a sudden, there's a knock at my aunt's house because that's where Miranda lives. And she opens the door and she sees Miranda, this 5-year-old, alone. She got done trick-or-treating, walking with us, and decided to turn back and head home because she had enough candy for the night.
Hell yeah. That's fucking baller.
My parents apparently got yelled at because they did not realize that this small child had walked away from them and went home.
Oh, your parents? I thought it was just you kind of walking with her.
No,
and then and you were like, all right,
were
peace. I'm like 9. I don't give a shit. Fucking leave. I don't care. That's great.
We're all together. She's like this 5-year-old that just walked off.
She's so quiet though, so I don't even like. I feel like even if she walked off now at the age, like some of us would be like after 20 minutes, like, oh shit, where did Miranda go?
Try to build a rocket or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she'd be off like overthrowing an entire government. Who knows? Who knows with her.
What about you? What's your good Halloween story?
Okay, I will say when I was younger, growing up in Philadelphia, I always wanted like a kind of elaborate costumes because I like with my imagination, but my parents did not have the money or the means to do those costumes. So my mom would always do them like homemade to a certain extent. When I was like super young, it was always easy. It was like Dracula, shit like that. You could buy it at like a dime store. But then I wanted to be SpongeBob one year, and I was like, I need to be SpongeBob, Mom. You don't understand.
This is who I am.
Bless her heart, she went out to like a Michael's or one of those Hobby Lobby craft shops. We got a cardboard box, a bunch of yellow and green felt, and like brown, like all the colors of SpongeBob, like felt sheets. And then we surrounded the cardboard box in yellow and then gave it little green circles and then cut out the big eyes and we glued on a nose and then cut out armholes, and I wore a yellow sweatshirt and I was like this little 8-year-old boy with this giant cardboard box just walking down the street.
Do you have a photo of this?
My mom might somewhere. I mean, this predates like digital cameras. It has to be somewhere though. And I remember like being so self-conscious because I was like, this is so dumb, like it's a cardboard, like I want to look like of course like I appreciated my mom and I loved her and I was like, oh, this is amazing. I was also like, it's not really what I expected. But the second I went outside and I was kind of like in the suit, like like all sniffly, like I look stupid, a bunch of little kids were like around my age were like, SpongeBob, and I was like, yeah. And like I remember immediately I was like, this fucking
validation
rules. Let's go, like Mom, you're the best. Yeah, like immediately I was on board. So yeah, that's one of my fondest.
Them kids.
Yeah, for real. Hyping a SpongeBob up, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that shit ruled. So okay, what's your opinion on the cutoff of Halloween age, right? Because I used to think like, oh, you can
wait, Halloween age or trick-or-treating age?
Trick-or-treating in particular, what is the age that you believe is a cutoff? Because I used to think that it was any age, like, oh, as long as you have the childlike spirit, it's whatever. But now that I'm older, I'm thinking more about it as if someone was to come to my door. Who would I turn them away? I don't know. How do you feel? What's your opinion? I
actually have 3 answers now because I feel like just who I am as a person, I probably wouldn't turn anyone away.
Same.
But I do think that for me, up until college, like up until high school, let the kids be kids. Even at 17, it's kind of like the last year of high school before they really go into like the adult world where they're entirely potentially on their own. So if I have a group of teenagers that look between like 14 to 17, I'm not even like, yeah, absolutely, go for it. I think there's also an age where you get where, like as an adult, I think Ari as a kid, well, now having a kid, it's a free pass. So now like potentially up until about 13, 14, whenever she wants to do her own thing, I now have free pass to get candy again. And that's the secret loophole. If you have kids, you acquire the candy.
Yes. But are you only going to give one piece of candy to the child? Like, if you're the candy giver and a couple comes up with a baby dressed as whatever, are you only going to give that baby one piece of candy, or are you giving that family 3 pieces of candy? Do you know what I'm saying? As a parent,
I'm going to drop in 2 pieces of candy because I know they're not going to give the baby any candy, so that way they each get a piece of candy.
I mean, that's fair. The baby's not going to get any. I guess I should frame this in the reference of more of like, okay, adults coming up with like a 6-year-old.
Oh.
Are you going to give any candy to the parents?
The only way I would is if they went through the effort of actually dressing in a costume, because like, I don't know, maybe the kid's like, I really want you to trick or treat with me. Sure, if they're going to go through the effort of fully dressing up, if they're just in like their Gap sweater and their crop jeans, and it's just, I'm not talking about.
It riles you up, I can tell. It fucking
just gets really angry when I think about every time he comes to my fucking door. No. If you're putting in the effort to get dressed up and be in the spirit, especially with your kid, yeah, I'll give you a piece of candy too. No, especially because part of it is when we lived in the apartment where we had also lived together, it was an upstairs apartment. There was not a lot of trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood any year that we were there. I always had candy in case, and I always ended up eating like 90% of it. First year we were at this house, that was the first year of having Aerie only after a few months, and then I got the flu right before Halloween, so was not really able to do much. This year, we got not only candy, they have giant packs of 3-pack Pokemon cards. So it's 80 packs of cards. It's 80 packs, each with 3 cards in it. And it's like $24. So I think we're going to give out those. Those ones will be the kind of thing that, unless it's like a Pokemon fan, I would just give it to the kid. But for the most part, it's about giving out. I just want to make sure I'm pacing enough to have enough throughout the whole night.
That's dope as hell. I like, it's funny though, because like there's an equal part of me that's like, I love that idea, and some kid is going to be like, fucking sick Pokemon cards. But there's another part of me that's like, man, you're wasting some cards, because there's going to be kids that don't give a shit. And like, what if there's a really rare card in that pack? And it's the one little kid who doesn't fucking care about Pokemon.
I already bought 80-pack set for myself and Amanda and Aerie that we split. So
yeah, but you can't guarantee what's in those other packs.
These ones, yes, you can, because they're a specific Halloween pack that have only specific cards in it. They all have one holographic in each of it, but it's different Pokemon. So that's like where the variation is. But it's just specific, like
keeps me up at
Halloween
night.
Themes.
No, that's sick.
Bane of my existence.
No, I agree. I think for me, it's the cutoff kind of is equivalent. No, how do I put this? If there was a line graph, right? It's like the likelihood of me giving you candy as your age goes up goes down. But if you put a lot of effort into your costume, it kind of levels out the line graph, and I'm still like, if a group of like 5 or 6 college students from U of O here showed up, and like they're like 22 or something, right? I'd probably be like I don't have any candy. Like I would just lie to them or something and be like, oh, I don't have any candy. Sorry guys, later. But if they were all dressed as like the fucking Scooby-Doo gang, like really like put in effort or some shit.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh hell yeah, guys. Here you go. Here's some fucking Snickers. Here you go. Fucking that's dope. You want a beer? I was like, I would so fucking rock with it.
Again, it's effort, right? Because if you're going to, and it's something I guess I've learned, like as someone who is now home for Halloween, it is a fun experience for you as well to give the candy and see all the different costumes and stuff. It's an experience I never thought about because I only cared about getting candy as a kid.
Yeah, you don't have that perspective.
Yeah, and so now, again, thinking, like, there was one video I saw that was hilarious, and I think they're college kids. They at least look that age. But they dressed up as like really old people. They walked up to a door with the door. They knocked on the door. When the person opened, they knocked on their door, and then they gave them candy as if they were trick-or-treating at their house. And it's like, that level of effort you put in, I don't care how old you are. That made my night. That was hilarious.
That's just fun. That's just entertainment at the end of the day.
And then they flip you the tablet, and it says, "Would you like to tip 15%?"
Yeah, exactly. It is one of my favorite holidays, but I will admit that it's probably the one that I have like the least amount of traditions for. I don't know. There's not like a specific food or a specific event or something. Like it used to be Fright Night at Circus.
Oh, yeah.
That used to be a classic for me, going like almost every year when I was younger, which for people who do not know, there's this event thrown in October. Do they still do it? They did for a while, but
I'll say this. I haven't seen any billboards. We're going to go ahead and get a Google fact check on that right now. But I drove to work today. I was on property on the strip, and I did not see any billboards for it. And that's the kind that they always do, the really big billboards that are going over the billboard.
And there's like a theme for it that's usually pretty big. And I don't think they've done it for the last couple of years now that I think about it.
But, they also have more competition. Like you have Area 15 that is doing a bunch of I think they're doing a bunch of haunted houses. There's a lot of places doing haunted houses. I don't think so.
Okay. I didn't think that lasted, but I don't know. But either way, while you're looking that up, Fright Night was essentially like this giant haunted house.
Or Fright Dome?
Fright Dome. I'm sorry. You're so right.
I was like,
was I calling it Fright Night before this, or did I call it Fright Dome? Now I can't remember.
I think you called. Yeah, I can't remember. Oh, it says. Oh no, Fright Dome. It's still apparently a thing.
So it's still happening. So anyway, Fright Dome is an event in Las Vegas that happens almost every October, where the Circus, the entire kind of theme park casino thing inside of there, becomes a haunted house. And they have like 5 or 6 main haunted houses within that, but the entire thing itself, as you're walking around, becomes a horror experience. It's similar to like, I think Universal has a horror experience, right? And like Disneyland kind of changes their park.
Not Scary Farm, not Scary Farm.
Yeah, exactly. How they kind of change.
Also, we have an update. They last updated anything in 2020. I don't think they've done it since the big.
We lied.
The big event of 2020.
Dude, that was in 2001. Anyway, so but it was a pastime of mine. It was one of my favorite. Like, I have distinct memories of listening to Marilyn Manson's cover of "This Is Halloween" from The Nightmare Before Christmas on my red iPod.
I've never heard that cover.
Oh, it's a good cover. It's a good cover. I mean, I can't say it's better than the original because it's the fucking, Nightmare Before Christmas. But it's good. It's good. He does voices, stuff. Anyway, traditions on your end for Halloween?
Especially now that we have the baby, it's, I think, going to become going over to my parents' house, do a little trick-or-treating in that neighborhood, and then maybe coming back to our neighborhood, doing some trick-or-treating there, and then also being there, because we'll be able to give out a little bit of candy, but while we're at my parents' house, we're definitely going to be doing the honor system. I'm not putting the Pokemon cards in the honor system. Those are only for people who come to the house while we're there.
Fair enough.
For everybody who is watching this episode that was planning on coming, nice try. I already thought about that.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so all right, that could be a topic we talk about. So, because I feel like people got some opinions on that. That's a very opinionated topic of Halloween, the honor system bowls, right? So you're a proponent. You will do that when you're gone.
I have like 2 personal rules on it. I'm gonna buy like a $5 bowl, I'm not putting out any bowl that is like, oh, this has been passed down from my family
ceramic,
since
like fucking China bowl.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Jesus passed it to my greatest nana. And I
Like cheap candy, like Dum Dums and Tootsie Rolls and shit like that.
Yeah, again, so for my example, like we're getting like I'd say like the mini Snickers and stuff like that. So we're not doing any jumbo bars, but we're getting a bunch of that candy. I'll put that in there. We'll probably put a sign that says like take 2 pieces or something like that. And it is what it is. The cool thing is having a Ring camera, I can see and I can evaluate for next year if this is a good method.
Oh, so you like recording children without their knowledge with the enticement of candy coming to your house? That's a little weird. A little strange, Mitchell. I wouldn't admit that on air, but that's fine. But okay, would you blame a kid for taking the whole bowl, or would you just be like, respect, period? Like, you know what I mean? Because I'm kind of on the respect side. I get it. It's like, dude, why not? Like, fuck it. I get the honor system thing, but also you just left a bowl out here with a bunch of candy with a paper fucking sign that I can flick over. I didn't do this as a kid. I didn't have the balls. Sure, I would take a couple extra more because I'm like, whatever. But I would never dump the whole bowl. I couldn't do it. I didn't have the balls. But I respect the kids who do. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I do not respect the kids that do. And it's probably the working in HR, me being like, I like to think that
nobody signed a contract. You know what I mean? Like,
and that's why I'm not called a officer. This son of a bitch, he lives 4 houses down. He took 4 fucking Snickers. The sign said 2.
Wait, you're breaking up, sir. He said 4. You took 4. What?
Get him.
Trying to cancel me before Halloween, are you? I see what you're doing. No, I can't. I don't know, man. I can't really explain it.
But I'll say this too. It's one of those I would never go out of my way, or again, because I'm like, me living it out realizes the risk I'm taking. So it's
like a fuck around, find out.
That's
moment.
on them.
You know what I mean? Like, in a sense, because like I do get it. There is like kind of a communal agreement where it's like, oh, it's Halloween. This house was nice enough to buy a bag of candy for the kids. Let's not all hoard it. I get that. I do. But at the same time, respect. It's hard out here on these streets, you know. Like, what, you know, I'm just saying. You never know. So, respect. Yeah,
I see how much those costumes cost. If it's that hard on these streets, y'all should be using that money to buy bags of candy.
Is that the stance you want to take? You want to take this stance? You want to just I'm down. I'll let you do this. You can get canceled before Halloween.
Well, hold on. No, I'm curious. If as a kid your mom came to you and said, "Okay, hey, that costume costs about like $40 to $50.
Yeah.
I'll give you that money to spend on a bag of candy, whatever you want." No, it's not
Bad
the
mom.
thrill of the
Bad mom. No, I think it's different. Because it's like
Okay. I agree with you. I was just curious.
It's like, what if your mom was like, hey, for Christmas, I know you really want this thing, but instead of opening it on Christmas morning, here's $100. Just go buy it. You know, like yes, it's cool that you got that thing, but then on Christmas morning, it's like the magic of Christmas specifically is kind of gone. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
in a sense, I'm not saying Christmas is all about presents. I'm just saying that if that's what you were going to do anyway, if you were going to put that money toward the child
meaningful,
enjoying the thing. Yeah. Because for me, at least for me, you know, it might be kid to kid. Let's say you have a very like analytical, logical kid, and he's just like, I don't fucking care about going. Yeah, give me that candy, baby, and then make a cheap costume, and then we're fine. I don't care. But I think for me, it would be like, I want to have the full experience of Halloween and go out and enjoy trick or treating. That's more of where I come at it from.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. I would not want to do the trade off because I also enjoy getting dressed up in a costume.
Yeah. And like being with friends and going out, it's like even though I know it's not what you meant, how I thought of it was like saying like, hey, instead of going out with your friends to the bar, I'll buy you a 6-pack and you can just sit at home alone and like drink that. And it's like, what? No, like I want to go out to the bar. I'll use that money for the 6-pack and go buy some beers, buy a round. So yeah, I don't know. That's how I think about it. I'm obsessed with Halloween in the sense that like I love it as an excuse to watch horror movies with Audrey because she doesn't like watching horror movies. So during October, we can be like, every night I can be like, it's a new time for a scary movie, huh? And she's like, okay, Halloween. I don't know. Is there any movies? Do you have any Halloween movies you watch every year?
Nightmare Before Christmas. That's always a guaranteed watch.
Debatable. There is a debate on whether or not that's a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie. I think both.
They cover both holidays.
Yeah.
It's more centered around Christmas, but it takes place in Halloween Town.
Yeah, it's a Venn diagram of a movie.
Halloween.
You know?
Exactly. It is exactly that. Fuck, watch it for the Easter.
No.
Fucking Easter bunnies.
Don't you dare do that. Don't listen to him. There's only one movie to watch on Easter.
They show a turkey. Watch it on Thanksgiving.
Hop. Illuminations, 10 out of 10. Highest rated movie starring James Marsden. Hop.
I'm going to tell you I saw it so that way you don't try to make me watch it.
Good idea. Because goddamn, it's a bad movie. Yeah. What's your favorite Halloween movie? Like, if a movie that kind of specifically revolves around Halloween.
Halloween specifically? Okay, so not like just a horror movie, but a Halloween-related movie.
Yes, and obviously a lot of those do overlap, but...
It's funny. If I think about like what was something that I watched reoccurring as a kid, and I think over the past couple of years, probably have still seen it with my wife. Halloween Town.
Ooh, good one. Sorry, my cat was making weird noises.
Pocus. Yeah, Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus. I think those are kind of, if they come on, I'll never be like, oh, let's watch something else. And I hate rewatching things. But again, a lot of that was childhood. Although it's so funny now to be a kid that grew up in the 90s that watched these shows where we weren't thinking about like, oh, this is the 90s look. This was just what we were living in.
Yeah.
I'm looking back now and seeing like a haircut and being like, oh, bowl cut, that's a 90s kid. That's jean overalls, yeah, 90s kid.
Yeah, or like kids that are now dressing nostalgically like the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
but they never lived in it, and you're like, whoa, that's so crazy. Like there's a movie I watched recently, speaking of like horror movies for Halloween. It's not much of a horror, but either way, there's this movie, it's A24's I Saw the TV Glow, and it takes place in like the mid to late 90s, and it's kind of about a kid who's gets into TV shows like that, and they have a fake TV show that they show, like that they filmed and stuff, like as if it was a 90s show, and it's so accurate and it's so weird to watch it and be like, wow, like they nailed that tone, and it was only like 20 years ago, but it's so different. Like it's hard to explain, but seeing the nostalgia for a time period that we have lived through is very strange, because I think about like the bands that my parents listened to and how when I was a teenager, I thought of them as being so old, you know, like Poison and Guns N' Roses. They had albums come out the late 80s, like 89, 90 even. So if you think about that in terms of us, like that's like an album coming out in the mid to late 2000s, you know, and then a kid in their teenage years now being like, oh yeah, Justin Bieber, like when his album came out in 2008, fucking classic, you know, and it's like, what? Like, what? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Fucking insane.
Any movies for you that you regularly watch?
Halloween wise, yes. I would say my favorite, this is somewhat of a recent favorite in the last few years, but honestly, unironically, Hubie Halloween with Adam Sandler.
Hubie Halloween
is so
was
funny.
Hilarious.
It's
I need to
so
rewatch that.
Dude, you got to. You have to. We watch it every Halloween.
My favorite like little bit that I always remember is when his thermostat that does everything. The one time he needed it, he's like, doesn't. I don't remember what it was it didn't do, but it was like the simplest thing. And I'm like, out of all the things your thermostat does, it's got a fucking grappling hook.
Dude, that shit, the thermostat made me laugh so hard in a couple scenes when I really thought it shouldn't. You know, I was just like, this is such a silly thing.
That's what I love slapstick humor is applied, where the rest of the world is like, yeah, it's just a normal thing, I guess. Like, he's a weird guy, but whatever. And it's like, that's not how that could ever possibly work. Oh,
yeah, exactly.
God.
Sorry, there was another little guy in there. Needed to let him out. What's so funny about that movie is that Adam Sandler supposedly... There's no proof that this movie is a direct byproduct of what he said, but he did say this. Okay, so this is how I'm going to frame that.
Okay.
After Uncut Gems came out, which was the movie directed by the Safdie brothers, did you see that one? It's like the very like high-paced, dramatic.
But I've heard about it. Yeah.
Okay. He put his foot up into that movie when it comes to acting, and I believe he had some part in writing it. And Adam Sandler said that if he doesn't get an Oscar nom or win for Uncut Gems, he's going to come back and make the worst movie he's ever made in his life. And then he didn't win Uncut Gems, and then Hubie Halloween was the next movie that he made. So everyone assumed, like, well, all right, this is just going to be the worst movie he's ever made. Great.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Right? And weirdly enough, it kind of feels like it should be. It almost feels like it works against itself. It's like he tried to put all the things in it that would make it an awful Adam Sandler movie. Like, he does a weird voice the whole time, like, hey, how's it going? Hubie Halloween. Hilarious for some reason. It works.
Yep.
He's constantly like screaming and just flailing, but the way that they do it with the jump scares, it works for some reason. And like Ray Liotta is in it, and it's the last film he was in before he died. So let's all like raise a glass to that. Yeah, Hubie Halloween is the last film that Ray Liotta was in. I believe. He might have been in some other film or smaller film, but yeah, that's the pour one out. But yeah, every Halloween.
Wow.
Gotta. And on top of that, I also have like Rocky Horror Picture Show, the one like musical with Tim Curry, and I have I've it's funny, I like watching the Little Shop of Horrors musical every Halloween, but I watched it with Audrey last year and she does not like it at all, so I haven't had the chance to watch it again. So people do not flame her, okay? If there's any like musical fans out there, they're like, what? She doesn't like Little Shop of Horrors. She never saw it when she was younger. It definitely has a tone and a style that if you're not into that, it's not going to be your thing. You know what I mean? So I get it. Yeah, I don't know. I like watching the Saw films during Halloween. I haven't this year.
I was going to say that's another series that I absolutely love. Did you see Saw 10, Saw X? I think that's the most recent one they did.
No. Well, I don't even know anymore. I'll be honest. I actually kind of want to. I'm not even against them anymore. I think they've kind of come full circle for me where I'm interested again, because once it got to like the 6th or 7th and they were going, I was just kind of like, you're losing me. But now,
so here's the thing.
I might be back.
When I watched it, if I'm remembering correctly, all the movies are happening within a relatively short period of time, like maybe towards like the last ones.
Yes.
So I think because of that, if it's been a few years since you've seen what?
No, I'm sorry. I'm laughing because it's like I know what you meant, but in terms of the movie, I thought you meant something. I thought you meant something different. I thought you were trying to say that all 10 of these movies take place within the same like year or two, which is also true. Like, you're also correct about that. So I was like, laugh. But either way, it's not important. I'll continue my thought after this.
But so because of that, when Saw 10 came out, my wife and I were like, okay, we're going to watch all the Saw movies up until this one, so that way we have a pretty good idea of that whole story. And though it's obviously like, 8 to 10 hours, however long, the story makes so much sense. I definitely think that, again, I don't want to give anything away. So I think if you're going to watch that one, at least watch a couple of the ones before.
Oh, for sure. I want to catch. I'm not just going to jump into it with the most recent.
Okay, good.
Because I'm confused a little bit because I don't remember there being a super. The last two I remember are Jigsaw and Spiral, which were kind of like two like yes, they were part of the Saw movies, but they were almost kind of like offshoots. Like they were like the one with Chris Rock, the Spiral. Is that the one you're talking about?
No. Saw X came after Spiral.
Really? Oh, wait. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
sure?
this was just in the last like 2 years or something, right?
Yeah, this is only
Okay.
maybe 2-3 years at the max.
It's so interesting you say that because I want to watch it because everything I've heard from other people has been that the story
came out last year.
makes no sense. Like, okay, it came out last year. Everything I hear from people is that like it's not that it doesn't make any sense. It's just that the things that they do in which for it to make sense are kind of ridiculous. Which I will say I remember that happening in the first half of the movies where because again, I don't have any frame of reference after like 6 or something like that, or maybe 5. I can't remember which one it was that I stopped watching on. But there's these moments where they would flash back to either the first or second or like third movie, and then all they would do is just like move the camera like a little bit to the right, and then it was like she was there the whole time. And like that was supposed to explain why now that she's actually in charge instead of him. And then later in a movie, it'll like turn the camera a little bit to the left and you'll see someone else who was there. And it's like, oh, he was there the whole time. He's the actual guy. And like that kept happening. And I remember being like, this is so funny. Like, cause that is the funniest way to like retcon something. Because there's no way they planned that. That's something where it's like you're 3 or 4 movies into a series and you need to now explain why this guy's coming back. Do you know what I mean? Because like, let's be honest, like these movies did not have they did not write down their 10 movie plan of Saw when this started. There's no fucking way. So I think the idea is it's like, okay, we have this actor back, but how can we explain why he's back? And it's always this just like, well, in the first movie, he was in the room the whole time. And it's like, I fucking love that shit. And I want to go back and rewatch those movies again. Cause yeah, that's, man.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to rewatch, to see like were there any like foreshadowing? Because I'm trying to think.
The twist of the first movie is one of the best twists of any movie.
That
hands
was really
down.
good.
The guy,
That was
like,
really good.
And spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen Saw, see Saw. If you haven't seen Saw by any chance, see Saw.
If you're teeter-tottering on seeing Saw.
Yeah. But goddamn, the idea of the guy who's spearheading the whole thing just being in the room the whole time and then just getting up and that fucking him shutting the door. Oh, classic.
And just the level of like confidence you have in your plan to go through without fail.
Yeah.
To attempt something like that.
Well, okay, so this is something I do remember about Saw that I think is funny, and I remember thinking like this kind of ruins the intense moment of the first movie. Is that at the end of the first movie he has that moment where he's like, game over or whatever, and then he like slams the door shut because they lost, and but then in another movie, like 3 or 4 movies later, if I'm correct, it's revealed that he goes back into the room and gets the blonde guy out, and then he starts helping him with his traps, right? It's something along those lines, right? I'm not crazy because that blonde guy comes back as a guy who starts doing the traps on people after the first movie.
I know there's like a guy that was like a cop or detective that ends up helping him out, and then there's the girl.
Not that guy, because that's the guy with the black hair, right? Like
I remember. I'm trying to remember the blonde.
I'll bring up a picture.
Okay.
Hold on. Blonde hair. He's in The Princess Bride.
He looks familiar.
He's in The Princess
looks
Bride.
familiar.
He plays
Bro, do you know how young he was in The Princess Bride?
that guy
Yeah.
right there. Come on. Either way. No, I just thought it's really funny that like you have this really intense moment in that first movie, and then I just imagine like right after that intense moment, it's like, okay, he just opens the door back up. It's like, all right, get out of there. Anyway, I'm sorry. We don't have to talk about Saw any longer. I think we talked about Saw long enough. This has actually been a pretty good episode, I will say. I didn't even realize we've been recording for so long. Did you have any like Halloween recommendations you wanted to give to the people out there before we let everyone go?
New Tsuku is dropping soon, so trick or treat.
All right, respect. If I respect a kid who takes a whole bowl of candy, I gotta respect someone who drops self promo during it all. You know, I mean, that's just, I have to if I'm gonna be logical here. That's fair. Ooh, did you ever partake in Mischief Night? Last question. And do you know what Mischief Night is? Because some people don't.
Is that where like the night before Halloween and you go and you do mischievous things? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was, again, the HR kid that follows the honor system was not partaking in Mischief Night.
I think I went out one Mischief Night, but we didn't do anything. We just went out, and then it was like we feel bad because we're out walking around the night before Halloween. But we didn't TP anybody. We didn't TP the principal's house.
I think the only house we ever TP'd was my grandmother's because my mom said we should do that.
The only house I ever TP'd was out of respect for never mind. I got nothing.
In that TP. That's probably gonna be backwards.
Your camera froze. So
Oh. Well, you missed out on the TP.
the only time I TP is when I hit that T pose.
Yeah.
Not good enough
Yeah,
for
I
you?
think
What? Am I not good enough for you? You know what?
No.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe okay, I only hit that TP when I'm the shit. Oh, we're out of here. That's the Neon Valley podcast. Everyone, we'll see you next week, and love you. Happy Halloween.
Get out of here, you filthy, dirty.
Joseph, bleep that. Holy shit.